Hello and welcome to the Talkin Ball podcast where Jack and I talk ball. Today we have a very special guest, mechanical and aerospace engineering graduate, race car engineer for the NASCAR Truck Series, and an avid sports fan, but most importantly, our dear friend Kade Faith. How's it going, Kade?
Doing pretty good. I'm excited to talk ball, Keaton.
We're excited to have you here. Jack, how
I'm
are you
I'm
doing
here also.
Oh, hey, Jack.
Back here. Welcome, Cade. We're excited to have you. I'm sure all you faithful listeners will love hearing this guy talk ball with us.
Yeah, we had some guesses for who our special guest would be. We had Dario Saric guess and Mike Muscala, but we truly think this is the next biggest thing. So today we have a few things on the agenda. First, we're going to just kind of chat about some recent events in the NBA. Then we're going to get into our annual NBA Ranges game, and then finally we'll finish off with Thunder player rankings. First of all, I want to hear your guys' thoughts on the cat trade. Jack, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so first of all, my initial thoughts were I was shocked. I was caught off guard. Those of you who don't know, the Timberwolves traded Karl Anthony Towns for Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo from the Knicks and a first round pick. Apparently, it hasn't been finalized yet. They're still like trying to work out the details, but that's the the main parts of the trade, it sounds like. So yeah, I was caught off guard. Um, it was shocking that they would make such a big move this close to the season, especially two teams that are heavily regarded as having some of the best rosters in the league, making such big moves this close to training camp and stuff. But I guess something like this happens most years where it seems like the off season's over and then something hits us out of nowhere, kind of like all the Dame stuff happening last year. But um, when you look at the trade, you're like, like, I'm not like in love with it for either team, but like, I can also see why they did it. Um, it sounds like most fans don't love it. And I think the main part of that is like most fans are like of both of those teams are so attached to these players that were involved in the trade. These are guys that have been huge parts of their teams for a long time. And so they're probably feeling the initial shock and sadness of just losing some of their favorite players. And but when you think about it in the aspect of how it affects the teams, I could see why they did it. The Timberwolves have been doing this thing where they've been trying to run two centers together, and so they probably felt it logical to instead uh, trade one to get a true power forward in Julius Randle to play alongside Gobert, and also DiVincenzo, who will be a huge time role player for them. So I think it makes sense for them. And then the Knicks had needed center help. They had depth at a lot of their other positions, but not too much depth at the center position, thanks to the Thunder for taking Isaiah Hartenstein and Mitchell Robinson's injury. But um, yeah, I mean, adding one of the best centers in the league kind of solves that for them. Now they'll have to suffer in some wing depth now, but they can feel the great looking starting lineup now. And so I don't know who won or lost the trade. We'll have to wait and see probably, but I think both rosters still are very scary and will be threats at the top of the league. Um, and I understand why both teams did it. Now, um, it was still surprising, and I don't think either team really needed to make a trade like this, but maybe they feel like um, those steps were necessary to truly separate themselves from the rest of the league. So we'll see if how it affects each team.
What are your thoughts, Kade?
I mean, I like the players both teams got. I feel like both teams have to feel like they had to give up a lot to get there. Like with DiVincenzo and Randall, it's like DiVincenzo is making a ton of plays for them in the playoffs. They used to bid like culture guy, and then now they've lost both Hardenstein and DiVincenzo, who are two big hustle culture guys. So I think that's a lot. And Randall obviously the idea of Randall is what they lost is he's been hurt so much, but he's been great when he's been on the court. So I think that's a lot. But yeah, it's like they needed a center, especially with Mitchell Robinson out to start the year. It's like you had to have someone at the center position, so that makes sense. And then like you're getting good shooting for the Timberwolves, and you're getting the idea of Julius Randle, but then you're giving up a guy who's probably the longest tenured Timberwolf at this point, at
Oh,
least
for
currently,
sure,
right?
for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
he's
it's
been there forever.
so yeah, it's like I feel like you're getting good players on both sides, but you're giving up quite a bit. It's a little bit more than just getting rid of players. You're getting rid of culture guys, getting rid of people that have been there a while.
Yeah. I
I also
mean,
think the timing of the trade is really interesting. The week before training camp, they've had the whole offseason to kind of look over their rosters and make changes, and deciding to do it now is interesting. Coming off of a Western Conference Finals appearance for the Timberwolves, it seems like interesting timing. I can understand the desire to make that change. I feel like it's a pretty good haul for a cat. It'll just be interesting. I think it's kind of a neutral trade. I can't necessarily pick out a winner or a loser yet. But what I can say is I think that the value that they got was fair. With an additional first round pick from Detroit, I think that that'll be a good first round pick, as well as DiVincenzo is one of my favorite players, and he's been a really good shooter for the Knicks.
yeah, like last year during the season, I thought this was a possibility of the Wolves moving on from Towns, because his contract is massive, especially like amidst all their ownership issues. I thought for sure they wouldn't want to pay him in addition to their all their other big contracts, and so I thought that was a real possibility this offseason, depending on how they did in the playoffs. But then by this point, after they made the Western Conference Finals and we were almost through September, I thought surely they were done and they were just going to run it back and just pay him and see how it works and maybe move on in the future. But I mean, just looking at their starting lineups, both starting lineups look a lot better and scarier, kind of, as another team in the West, or another team in the league. Like the Wolves have Conley, Edwards, McDaniels, Randall, and Gobert, and then you also have DiVincenzo and Naz Reid off the bench. Like that's going to be up right up there with the Thunder. And then the Knicks, Brunson, Hart, OG, Mikal, and Towns. Like both teams, I think, filled the holes that they felt like they needed to. Um, so it'll be interesting.
Yeah, I'm excited to see kind of how good the either team can be. The Knicks the other day when we had a pod where we predicted our NBA champions, the Knicks were my runner-up, so I still think that they can make some noise in the playoffs, especially with the addition of Towns now. Um, Finally, before we move into our NBA Ranges game, I want to go through and each name one thing that we're looking forward to the most about Thunder Media Day tomorrow. I can start. I'll say my one thing that I'm looking forward to the most is probably just seeing the new guys, Hartenstein, Caruso, Topic, Jones, and Mitchell, all kind of in Thunder gear talking and just kind of get their insight to what the process of integrating into the team has been. But what about you, Cade?
I'm genuinely just excited to start hearing J Dub and J Will just talk again. I've just missed hearing their voices and the quotes they'll have. So I'm just excited for that.
That's very fair. What about you, Jack?
Um, I'm just excited about Media Day because not necessarily what they'll say, because it feels like we never like really learn anything on Media Day, but just the idea of Media Day always makes it feel like the season's about to start. So that's mostly why I'm excited about it. Um, I'm also excited to see what the guys over at Down to Dunk have in store for this Media Day, because um, Andrew Schlecht, he had the How Oklahoma Are You segment last year, and that was really funny. And so I want to see what creative spin they have this year on talking to the players and stuff.
Yeah, I'm excited for that as well. All right, now we will move into our NBA Ranges game. This is a game
Wait,
that
can
was.
we touch on Derrick Rose for a second?
Oh, yeah, yeah. So Derrick Rose retired this week after a long career riddled by injuries, but also, he's had some awesome moments. Was he the youngest MVP of all time? Yeah, he
Yes.
was second MVP of all time. He had a really long career with the Bulls. He played a lot of different places. Knicks, Timberwolves, most recently with the Grizzlies. Um, and so,
Cavs that 1 year, right?
yeah, he's really
Pistons.
in the latter part of his career kind of danced around. But yeah, so what are your thoughts about Derrick Rose's retirement?
Derrick Rose is one of my favorite players of all time. Um, he was the first player that I really enjoyed watching play basketball. He was, I always say, like the one guy that like made me get into basketball. Um, Before even watching the Thunder, I watched Derrick Rose YouTube videos. I'm like, this is awesome. And then I started getting more into like the NBA in general and the Thunder and everything. So I've always loved Derrick Rose. It would have been awesome to see what all he could have done if he didn't suffer through injuries. But it was still awesome to see that even while he suffered major injuries and definitely took a hit as far as how good he was as a player, he still was able to have what a 16-year career. Like that's pretty impressive. And so, um, congrats on retirement, Derek, if you're listening.
Yeah, Derek, if you're listening, we're big fans. And congrats on retirement. Okay, do you have any additional thoughts to that?
Yeah, pretty much just the whole time I've watched the NBA, he's just been it's been as a what if. It's like what if he stayed healthy? I think it was still cool to see him like have the buzzer beater against the Cavs in the playoffs that 1 year, drop 50 with the Timberwolves. Like he's still able to have a lot of cool moments, even past the point where injuries that kind of derailed his career.
Yeah. Yeah, he was kind of one of a kind. Um, with no additional thoughts, let's move into our NBA Ranges game. This is a game that we started last year in your guys' living room. We played this game, and so it's kind of a predictions game, and so it goes throughout the whole season, and then at the end of the season, we can tally our points and see how we did. Essentially, the NBA Ranges game is we're going to come up with a range for each NBA team of what they could finish in their respective conferences. So, for example, in each conference there's 15 teams, and so there's 15 possibilities of seeds that teams can finish. So we have to predict a range of what their upper bound and their lower bound for seeding could be. So for example, this season I think the Thunder could finish first, but maybe I think that they could finish as low as fifth. So I could say 1 through 5 is my range for the Thunder. And so if they fall within that range, then I win that particular range and I get the points for that. How scoring works is for each range that is, or for each team that falls within your range, you get the points for the amount of seeds that you left out of your range. So for that example, if the Thunder fell within my 1 through 5 seed range, I would get all of the points that are not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I would get 10 points because you do 15 minus 5. So I would get 10 points. On the contrary, if the Thunder were to finish sixth in that scenario, then I would not get points. I would lose points. So I would get negative the amount of points that are within my range. So for that example, I would get -5 points. That's essentially how the scoring works. That might have been complicated to hear, but I promise it'll all make sense. So we are going to snake draft our seeds in each conference, and Jack will share his screen so that you can follow along. If you're watching on YouTube, I recommend that.
Yeah. All right. So basically, um, like the first number, the range you say is like the first number is the best you think they can finish, and the second number is the worst you think they can finish. And the whole trick of the scoring system is like you can make a big range and to guarantee they fit in it, but then you're not going to bank in as many points. And making a smaller range is risky, but sometimes it pays off to take a risk like that in order to get more points. So you'll um, you'll catch on as we go here. But oh, I put Keaton twice up here. So basically, we have the list of teams here, and I have them in order of how they did last year, just so we can kind of reference that. Their seed over here, and then their record. right here of how they did last year. So yeah, Keaton, do you want to go first with the Thunder here?
Yeah, so I'm gonna start with the Thunder going in between the first seed, and I'm gonna give them insurance all the way to the fourth seed. So I'm gonna go 1 through 4 on the Thunder.
All right. And as we go here, I know over the past couple weeks we've done a lot of predictions and stuff like that. So we'll touch on our thoughts on some of these teams when important, but I don't think each of us are going to speak on our reasoning behind everything. But for me, the Thunder, I think we're going to be up there again this year. I don't have any reason to believe we're going to be worse. I'm going to give us 1 to 3. I'll take that risk there. Cade, what do you think?
I don't really know how to react to the hype that the Thunder are getting this offseason. I saw like a Ringer article the other day where the headline was, "Are the Thunder going to have the greatest defense of all time?" I don't know how to react to us being probably title favorites, if not the favorites in the West. Uh, so I don't know whether or not to set myself up for excitement or just be disappointed. I'm gonna go 1 to 2.
Whoa. I like it. All right, Cade. We'll go back to back. Cade here. You go Nuggets.
Nuggets, I'm going to go 1 to 4.
All right. Um, for the Nuggets, I will go 1 to 5. I'm gonna be a little less risky there. Keaton?
For the Nuggets, I'm gonna go 1 to 5 as well.
All right. I think a lot of people are talking about the Nuggets as a team that are gonna fall off a little bit, but I think they'll be up there around the same range they have been in the past few years, but I'd still like the insurance there.
Okay, so for the Timberwolves, I'm gonna go 1 through 4.
I'll go 1 to 4 as well. Realistically, I think they'll be a top two team, but as you can see here with last year's wins, things kind of tend to fall within 1 to 2 games, so it can kind of be unpredictable here. Cade?
I'm going to go 1 to 5.
What 4 teams do you think could finish ahead of the Timberwolves?
I think that the Mavericks should finish ahead of them. Um, I feel like maybe like the Suns, if they actually find a way to put it all together, could finish fourth. I don't think that they'll finish that much higher, but
But you think
if
there's
I'm
any
going,
way they can finish ahead of the Nuggets?
yeah, I think the Nuggets and Thunder could also finish ahead of them. That's the 4 teams.
Right, but you said 1 to 4 for the Nuggets, so you think there's no way the Nuggets can be fifth, but there's a way the Timberwolves can be fifth?
I think that they're going to be better than the Suns no matter what, at least.
Okay. What do you think the Clippers range is?
I'm really hoping the Clippers are bad. I think that they're like a couple injuries away from everything falling apart. Um, but there's still a chance they could be good if Kawhi and Harden have a good season and they have enough good role players. I'll go, gosh, they could be really bad though. Go like 5 to 12.
Yeah, this is also a weird one here. I think they could have the biggest range out of these Western teams. I'll say I can't really imagine them finishing top 6, if I'm being honest. So this might be a little risky, but I'm gonna go mm, 6-12.
I'm going 7-12 for the Clippers. My reasoning for that is I cannot imagine them not being a play-in team or
Can
better.
I change mine to 7-12?
Sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so for the Mavericks, I'm gonna go 1-5. Give me 1-6 on the Mavericks. I'm gonna give myself another point of insurance there.
Okay. I'm gonna go 2-6.
I'm going 1-5.
All right, Suns, Cade.
Suns, I'll go 4-9.
All right. I'm gonna go 3-7. I'm a little higher on the Suns, as those of you who listened to last Monday's episode heard.
For the Suns, I'm gonna go 4-10.
Whoa! In what world are the Suns finishing 10th?
Hold on, I might correct this. I'm looking at my predictions.
Okay.
Um,
I feel like there are other teams that can injury away from just like the bottom falling out from under them.
I mean, you could say that
yeah,
about a lot of teams.
my prediction for them was eighth, so I'm gonna keep my 4-10. Um, but I do agree with what Cade said. I think that they put a lot of their stock in three players, and so if two of them go down, they could be. But I mean, that's why I also have a 4 ceiling. Like that's really good seed, especially in this competitive West. Okay, for the Pelicans, who if you also watched the pod, you would know that I have a pretty low floor for the Pelicans. That's all right. So my floor for the Pelicans is going to be where I have them in my prediction, which is 11th, because I don't see them finishing 12th or lower. Um, and I'll give them fifth as a ceiling. So I'm going to go 5-11 on the Pelicans. I think they're going to be in that middle range there.
Okay, I'm gonna go 5-10. I don't really see them falling out of the play-in.
Yeah, I'll also go 5-10.
Okay. Lakers, Cade.
I just can't imagine the Lakers getting that much better. Like you get a very healthy season out of Anthony Davis last year and LeBron playing very well, and he's only a year older. And they didn't really make that many massive additions. Like they got Dalton Connect and Bronny and JJ Redick as the coach. I just don't know how much of a difference that's going to make. So I'm going to go, I think they'll still make the plan. I'll go 5-9.
Okay, I'm with you. They're like one of the teams that didn't really add anything this offseason. Now they've kind of taken the approach to add in the middle of the season in past years, which you can argue is a good strategy because then you kind of know what you need if you've seen the team play for a little bit. But to not add anything in the offseason other than their rookies is kind of bold after finishing eighth. But yeah, I don't really see them finishing top five with this loaded conference. So I'll go 6-10.
So I will agree. I think that they are a play-in team or fringe play-in team. So I'm going to go 6 to I'm gonna go 6 to 11. They're really kind of close to that 11 seed. All they're flirting with the Warriors for that 10-11 spot last year. Um, the Kings, let's see. Kings I had the other day as my 5 seed. Wow. So but I don't really see them finishing much higher than that. So I'm gonna give them a range of, I mean, I guess there's a world where they could get 4. Okay, so I'll go 4 as their upper bound, and I'll say 9 as their lower. I'll go 4 to 9.
All right. I'm a little lower on them. I mean, I think they're solid. There's just a lot of really good teams here. I'll go 6 to 10 as well.
I'm gonna go with 6 to 11 here.
Whoa.
Whoa.
What about
I'm,
the Warriors?
I really don't even know how to feel about the Warriors. I think they're gonna be better than last year. Like last year for them, just kind of everything was falling apart. They're trying to figure out how to play Clay. They were missing Draymond due to Draymond just removing himself from the team for a while. So I think they're gonna be better, but another team that just didn't really add a ton of things, add really
Whoa.
anyone.
Whoa. You ever heard of Buddy Hield or Kyle Anderson or DeAnthony Melton?
On me. I didn't see them. Yeah.
How would they feel if you tell them the Warriors didn't add anybody, but they were added to the team?
Yeah, they probably wouldn't feel great, but are they gonna actually help the basketball team be that much better? Probably
I
not a
I think
ton.
so.
You think Kyle Anderson's just gonna be a game changer for the Warriors?
He's
You
a
think the Warriors
great
are bad?
defender. The Warriors kind of lost some perimeter defense, you could argue, when Klay Thompson left. I think they needed solid role players, and that's what they got. They got some vets that can do a little bit of everything.
Uh, I'll go 6 to 11 as well.
All right. Even though you sound lower on them, I think my range is going to be lower. I'm going to go 8 to 12 because
Yeah,
there's too many good West teams. I just don't see them finishing ahead of.
I completely agree. I don't think the Warriors are gonna be a part of the competition in the West. So I'm gonna go 8 to I might go 8 to 12 as well.
Rockets, Keaton.
So the Rockets are interesting because they are very young. They are kind of, I mean, in a similar boat to the Thunder, not in like how well they've been the past few years, but in a similar boat to where they've just got a lot of young characters. So they're a little unpredictable to where they could finish. Like I would compare them to like the Thunder 2 years ago. Um, so with that being said, this is a very competitive West. I don't really see them being a part of that. So I'm gonna give them a floor of let's see, a floor of 13 and a ceiling of 9. 9 to 13 is my range.
All right. The thing about the Rockets, like you said, they have a lot of young guys that are pretty promising in the grand scheme of basketball talent. But I think they went about their rebuild a lot differently than the Thunder did. And I like how we did it better. They have a lot of young guys with potential, but I think the difference is we heard Sam Presti say the other day in his press conference that he is what did he say about building a roster versus just
Um,
adding players or something?
yeah, it was something like it's one thing to uh, draft players, but building like is another thing to like build a roster or something.
Right. And the Thunder built a roster. And I think the Rockets during their rebuild, they've just been trying to draft players. They kind of in every draft, we've seen them just kind of go for whoever the best player available was at their draft spot. And then they just added some random vets that kind of don't make the most sense with their team if they're trying to win. And so I just don't like they have good promising players. I just don't know if they make the best team. Um, Now they could in the future once they figure out which of their promising young players would make the best team together, and then they kind of focus on them. But as of right now, I don't see them finishing ahead of ninth as well. And I'm gonna say their floor is 12.
I'm going to say 9 to 12 as well, because I just can't imagine the Jazz, Spurs, or Trailblazers really being better than the Rockets. Jazz, I think, yeah, they're going to be bad. I'm going to go 13 to 15.
I will also say 13 to 15. I mean, they finished 12th last year when they were like trying to win for part of the year. And now the Grizzlies were 13 and they're for sure going to pass them. And I think now the Jazz are actually going to try to embrace the tank for at least this season, as they should.
Yeah, I'll also go 13 to 15.
Now, what about the Grizzlies?
Very interesting here for the Grizzlies. So the Grizzlies were pretty bad last year because having 27 wins. But they really didn't have a lot of their good players. Desmond Bane was out for a considerable period of time. Ja Morant was out for a lot of the season. JJJ had a who calls him JJJ? It's probably just Triple J or Jaren Jackson, but you get the point. He was out for a little bit. Um,
Smart,
Smart was out for pretty much the entire season. Or was it the entire season? Did he play?
a little bit.
Yeah, so he was out most of the season. But anyway, so they're getting those guys back. They're adding Zach Edey. Um, so I really think that they should probably have one of the biggest range because they're pretty unpredictable. I mean, a lot of those guys are injury prone, so you don't know if they're going to have another season riddled with injuries. Um, That's the thing about this game is we just kind of have to make predictions without, watching any of them play at all. So I think the Grizzlies could finish hypothetically as high as the give me give me three, and I'm gonna go as low as um give me eight, 3 to 8, which is in hindsight not a crazy wide range at all, like I was preaching, but um I feel confident in that.
Okay. I'm gonna go 3 to 7. I don't I don't think they'll finish eighth.
Yeah, I think the Grizzlies going to be pretty good. Like it was a small sample size with Ja last year, but like the games where he played, he was really good in those games last year. Um, yeah, so I'm going to go. Yeah, I'll go 3 to 8 as well.
Okay. Spurs.
Spurs, you know, they're honestly, I feel like just hoping to get the same effect that CP3 had with the Thunder and with the Suns too early on, where it's just like you bring them onto the team. Hopefully, it just works. But I just don't know how much better they're really going to be than last year. Um, I'm going to go 8 to 12.
Whoa. Okay. Um, you have the Jazz 13 to 15, right?
Yep.
And then we have the Trailblazers yet to go. So who do you think who else could finish 13 to 15? Because you might say the Trailblazers are down there also, but that's 3 spots, and you're gonna have 2 teams that even have a chance of finishing in one of those 3 spots in your range.
That's fair. I'll go Spurs 8 to 13.
Okay. That works. I mean, if you really think that no one's going to finish 13, you can keep it that way, but that's up to you. Okay. Spurs. Yeah, I mean, I don't think they're going to be very good. I think the bottom three teams, I'm pretty confident in saying the bottom three teams are Jazz, Spurs, Blazers, but I also am a little hesitant saying the Spurs are like a lock for 13 to 15 because like Wemby is like the most unique player we've ever seen in the league. And so like it wouldn't even shock me if Wemby goes out there and carries the Spurs to the 8 seed. So I don't think that's going to happen though, but you never know. Like even towards the end of the season, he had the Spurs like as a top 10 defense in the second half of the year. As a
They're the
rookie.
reason we got the 1 seed this year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but I'm gonna say if he does get a play-in miracle, it'll be the 10. So 10 to 14.
I'm gonna go with a narrower range. I'm gonna go 11 to 14.
Okay.
I don't see the Spurs finishing top 10. Although, like you said, you never know with Wemby. He can kind of do everything. Trailblazers are a team that I'm confident in saying are going to be bottom three. So I'm going to go 13 to 15.
Okay. I am gonna go 14 to 15. I don't see a way they finish ahead of both the Jazz and the Spurs.
I'm going 14 to 15 as well.
All right. That wraps up the Western Conference. Um, let's let's say Cade starts out the East. Um, and we'll start here with the Celtics. You want to get us going?
Yeah, I feel like the Celtics is going to be a wild take. They might be pretty good this year. Um, and it's
Wow.
just it's kind of crazy for like the two best players on a championship team to be like to have this much of a chip on their shoulder coming into a season. But I feel like they do just after how like Team USA stuff went. I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go 1 to 2.
Whoa! I like it. I'm going 1 to 2.
I'm going to go 1 to 2. I almost did our first ever no second number. I almost just went one.
Can I switch to 1 to 3?
Sure. I mean, yeah.
I can see a world that two teams are ahead of them. Not even though I think they have the best roster in the East. I think they'll be the best team in the East. I just think that regular season wise, there's a chance they take a small hit without Porzingis for a good chunk of time. So, Keaton, what about the Knicks?
Knicks are going to be, oh gosh, they're going to be good. They're going to be real good. I'm going to go 1 to 4.
I'm going 1 to 3.
I'm gonna go 2 to 4.
Who do you think can be ahead of the Celtics, Cade? If
I was gonna go 1 to 3 on the Milwaukee Bucks.
Okay, that's what I was wondering. Now, why are you so high on the Bucks here?
I just feel like they have more time together with Dame and Giannis together. Like you were saying earlier in the pod, that they got Dame pretty late into the going last season. I just think they might have a chance to be better. I feel like Giannis always has a chance to be really good into the season. Hurt last year, so I feel like they just might be pretty good this year.
I'm gonna go 2 to 5 for them.
I'm going to go 2 to 6 on the Milwaukee Bucks. Okay, the Cavaliers are very interesting. Um, they were in the 4-5 matchup last year. In my predictions, I had them at 5. But I think that they should reasonably have a high ceiling because I think their starting lineup is really good. Their roster, I think, is better than their win total from last year would indicate some injury issues. But give me give me 3-7.
All right. Yeah, I agree with you. The Cavs are good. They didn't really do a whole lot this offseason, but I don't know if they needed to. I mean, they're not gonna win the East by any means, but they have a solid lineup, and I don't know what really they could have done. Um, I'm gonna go 4-7.
Who's their new coach?
Oh, Kenny Atkinson. I'm excited to see them with him. I think I think he'll do some good there.
It's
You
huge.
know, now that you remind me there, I'm going 3-7.
I'm gonna go 3-6.
Okay. What about the Orlando Magic?
Orlando Magic.
I can imagine they're still gonna be pretty good this year. Another kind of young team. They just like was able to be pretty good last year. Um, I don't think they're gonna be in like the top tier of the East. I don't think they're gonna be that good, but I can see them being like I'll go a pretty small range. I'll go 4-6 with the Orlando Magic.
Yeah, I think the Magic will be good again. I just think the East is really good. Well, not in general, but like these top seven here, they're all really good. And so yeah, it's kind of tough. Even though I think the Magic are good, I think they can take a fall off in these standing. I mean, we even see last year, like these what, 7 teams were separated by 4 games here. So it's really unpredictable. The Rangers game can come down to the last day of the year, but
I lowered them to 5-8.
5-8. Okay. Um, for the Magic, I'm going to go 4-7.
I'm gonna go 4-8 on the Magic.
Okay.
Let's
Pacers.
Pacers are another interesting team. I kind of felt like a Cinderella run to the Eastern Conference Finals. I wouldn't have necessarily put them there going into last season. Um, so it'll be really interesting to kind of see how they do this season following that. They signed Miles Turner to another deal, so that'll be nice having him back, having some continuity with him and Halliburton, um, as well as a lot of other young guys that are going to be good. Last year they um, had a really good in-season tournament as well. They were just overall a really good team. I'm going to say that their ceiling is probably the 3 seed, and their floor is going to be the 7 seed, 3-7.
I'm going the same range I just went with for the Magic, 4-7.
I'm gonna go 4-8 for them as well.
Okay.
Um,
You got the Sixers, Cade.
I think the 76ers obviously could be really good. Like Joel Embiid would have been the MVP had he just played the minimum amount of games last year. He was playing unreal last year. Adding Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, it was very good regular season and playoffs. Um, yeah, I think they could be really good. I think that my range for them is 2-5.
Yeah, I think the Sixers will be really good too. I mean they were the 7 seed last year, but like you said, Embiid was out for a long time, and they started Tobias Harris, which is never good. Um, I mean, we see here, like I pointed out, they were the 7 seed, but they were 3 wins behind the 2 seed. So, um, I think just on paper they have one of most talented rosters in the league now. I mean, just having Paul George, Tyrese Maxey, and Embiid on the roster at the same time is kind of scary as another team in the league. Um, but I think I like 2 to 5, like you said.
I think that they will probably be 2 to 5, and I'm only giving them. So we're all going to go with the same range on the 76ers, but I'm only giving them that fifth seed as insurance to maybe some injuries because I think on paper they should be a home seed in the playoffs. I just don't quite have them up in the Knicks Celtics competition for that 1 seed, but maybe that'll come back to bite me. I don't know. Okay. The Heat are they could be one of the more interesting teams on here because Jack and I were talking the other day. The Eastern Conference seems to be separated into two kind of groups. It's the competitive groups and the non-competitive groups, and it seems like there's about 7 teams in each, and then the Heat fall right in that eighth slot in the middle. They could go kind of either way. They can be competitive or they could be not competitive. And we've seen them have miracle runs as the eighth seed before. So, um, and we've seen them be a frequent play-in tournament flyer. So um, I think this year they're going to, uh, or yeah, they're going to be in the play-in. Um, I'm going to give up, they're very unpredictable. So I'm going to give them a ceiling of 6 and a floor of 9.
Yeah, I mean with the Heat, I really would just want to say they're going to be the 8th seed. But that'd be pretty risky. Because like you were saying, like the Celtics, Knicks, Bucks, Cavs, Magic, Pacers, Sixers, I'm very confident that those 7 will be the top 7. Like I don't know what order, but and then the Bulls, Hawks, Nets, Raptors, Hornets, Wizards, Pistons, I'm very confident those will be the bottom 7. I don't know what order. And that kind of leaves the Heat in the middle. So I'm not going to be risky enough to say they're just going to be the 8th seed, though. I'm gonna give them a range of 7 to 9, with 8 right there in the middle. So,
This team's identity is just making the play in, and hopefully you raise hell in the playoffs. I'm giving them 7 to 10. They're just undoubtedly going to be a play-in team.
all right, Kate, that brings you to the Chicago Bulls.
Chicago Bulls are going to be bad. They're going to be very, very bad. Um, I do not believe in Diddy to carry this team. They do have Kobe White, which is like a bright spot, but I think they're going to be. They're not, I think they're going to be 10 to 13. Actually, 11 to 13. 11 to 143.
All right. I agree with you. I do not think the Bulls are going to be a good basketball team. Um, they were 39-43 last year and then lost DeRozan and Caruso. Um, if they were in the West, I would say they're like a 13 to 15 lock. The fact is they're not in the West, they're in the East. So I look at these 7 teams, the bottom 7 teams in my mind. Bulls, Hawks, Nets, Raptors, Hornets, Wizards, Pistons. And I'm like, wow, we're gonna have to watch a play-in game between 2 of those teams against each other. Like, no, I don't think any of those teams deserve to sniff the postseason, but 2 of them are gonna be in. So out of those 7, I think the Bulls are one of them that has a chance at the play-in, because I definitely think some of them don't have a chance. But the fact is, 2 of them have to be there. So I'll give them the 9 to 13 range.
I feel like I'm confident enough in the Bulls to say that they will be in the 9 to 12 range. I feel like they're kind of like not 2 feet into their rebuild yet. I think they might be 1 foot in, 1 foot out, and I think that that will result in them finishing above teams like maybe the Wizards, the Nets, the Pistons, potentially the Hornets, the Raptors, etc. Next up, the Hawks. I feel the same way about the Hawks actually, except better about the Hawks than I do the Bulls, just because um I mean I really besides trading DeJounte, I don't feel like they've really uh gone full tank mode like some of these other teams. So I feel like they could finish as high as I'm gonna give them a tiny bit of wiggle room on the upper side, like maybe they could sneak it to the eighth seed. Um, I don't feel great about that by any means, but uh, insurance might be necessary. And then I'm gonna say that they'll finish as low as the 12 seed.
Okay, I'm gonna go 9 to 12 here.
If you were saying, Jack, someone has to be in the play-in games, I think the Hawks are going to be one of them. I'll give them 8 to 10.
Play in locked.
Yeah, I think I can't imagine almost any of these besides. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I'll go Nets. I'll go 11 to 14 for them.
Okay. Yeah, the Nets, they were 11 last year, and this year or this offseason, they were able to say we're going to tank because they got their picks back. So they have reason to tank. And then they traded Bridges. So I think they're going to try to lose this year. So I'm going to give them 13 to 15.
I also agree. 13 to 15 is my range for the net. The Raptors, they're also a little weird where they're going to be in that bottom group for sure, I feel like. But I feel like they could also be one of the team that's flirting with the play in. Give me 9 to 12 with the Raptors.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think the Raptors are going to be good. They were bad last year. But unlike some of these other bottom teams, they have some guys. Like I've said in the past, they have guys like Quickly and Barnes that can kind of just go out there and win a couple games at least. And someone has to make the play in, so I think they're one of the few teams that has a chance. I'll go 9 to 12 for them as well.
I'm also going 9 to 12 for the Raptors.
Hornets.
I do appreciate that they're paying homage to their past by just creating the Oklahoma City Hornets again. I can at least appreciate that out of them. Um, yeah, they're just gonna be bad. I'll go 13 to 15. I don't think Taj Gibson's gonna get it done.
Yeah, I think the Hornets are also not great on paper. Last year they were the 13 seed, and but they had a lot of injuries last year, and I think Brandon Miller's going to take a step up. And similarly to the fact that two of these teams have to finish 9 and 10, two of them also has to finish 11 and 12. So just because someone has to, I think they're going to be in like the 10 to 12 range.
I have them as my 12th seed prediction. So, um, with that being said, I could see they're like somebody's got to make the play in, and like you said, LaMelo was out last season, so LaMelo and I mean Brandon Miller, yeah, Mark Williams. Do they still have Grant Williams?
Yes.
Yeah. So he can, if he is helpful, maybe he can do something. I'm not too high on anybody on the Hornets or really the Hornets as an organization, but somebody I am high about on the Hornets is their new coach.
Charles
Uh,
Lee.
Charles Lee is really going to revitalize this young Hornets team and put them in a direction that will get them to a range of between 10 and 13.
But I also changed mine to 10 and 13. I forgot what the next two teams are, and there's no way they're worse than these two teams.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
gonna change mine to 10 to 12, or 10 to 13. I'll add that insurance there. What about this next team, Keaton? You're pretty high on them, right?
No, I'm not high on the Wizards on our prediction episode, which is practically all of our episodes, but the specific prediction episode, I had them at 14th. So the Wizards are another team that might have some wiggle room, but not much. Give me 13 to 15 on the Wizards.
Yeah, I'll also go 13 to 15. I think the bottom three are pretty solidified in my mind, being the Nets, Wizards, Pistons, but you never know. But I'll go. I think they'll for sure be down there. They want to lose. So,
Pretty
okay.
crazy to me how big of a deal like was made out of the Pistons last year, and the Wizards had one more win than they did. Like Detroit was being absolutely crucified, but the Wizards just weren't better. Uh,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll go
they just
13 to
didn't
15.
lose all their games in a row like the
Right.
Pistons.
They spread them out a lot better. I'll go 13 to 15.
Okay, what about the Pistons? Last team.
I really want to go 15 to 15. Yeah, do it. 15 to 15. Actually, no, 14 to 15.
Whoa!
14 to 15.
I don't think, yeah, we can't be that bold with some of these other terrible teams in the
Right.
East, but I'm gonna go 13 to 15.
Give me 12 to 15. The reason I'm going to give them that extra point on the ceiling is just because of the unpredictability at the bottom of the East, mixed with the Pistons being a modge podge of random good and young players. I think they could potentially snag the 12th seed. Not sure from what team, but that's not my concern.
Did I actually change mine to 13 to 15?
Sure.
I do forget that if we missed, then I would have lost like 13 points and
No,
go
if you miss, yeah, let's go
it
over this for the
would be
let's go over
two.
this for the viewers. Jack, can you run us through an example with one of our ranges and show how that would impact the points?
Yeah. So say, for example, the Mavericks, I said they're going to be between 2 and 6, but say they're the 1 seed. That would not fall within my range. So I would get that one incorrect. And I would lose the amount of points of teams within my range, like number of seeds within my range. So 2 to 6, that's five different numbers of seeds. So I would lose 5 points. -5 would be my score for the Mavericks. But if they finish as the 3 seed, that's within my range. So I would get the number of points of teams or of seeds not within my range. So I would get 10 points because I said there's no way they will be the other 10. So I would get those 10 points. Then we'd add them all up. And so getting one wrong really hurts you. So this usually comes down to who got the most teams wrong. Because that can be like a 15-point swing if you were just like one off or something like that. Because instead of getting 10 points, you'd be losing 5 points. So, but yeah, that's all the teams. I'm excited to see how everyone does. Last year, Keaton won and Cade got last. Um, so
Gonna keep the same punishment this year
yeah,
as the rest of
same
my dinner.
same terms. It might be a little tougher with Cade in Ohio, but we'll figure it out. The the terms are the loser. We'll all go watch a playoff game together at a restaurant. Um, the middle person just buys their own food like normal. The loser has to buy their own food plus the winner's food. So we did that last year, and Cade had a higher bill. So um, yeah, so we'll figure that out. That should do it for predictions on the Talkin Ball podcast. I know we've been pretty prediction heavy lately, but we wanted to get all this out before the season started, and now we can kind of get into more season preview stuff about actual on the court Thunder things. So, um, yeah, that was fun. Next up, we're gonna finish off the episode with our player rankings. As always, we got a few guys to rank today. And happy to have Kay joining us to give some of his input on Thunder players of the past. So I will share my screen here if I can figure out how. Here we go. You seeing this, guys?
Yep.
Okay.
A lot of awesome players for Cade to share his thoughts on.
Yes. So for Cade and those of you who don't know, if it's your first time listening, each episode we ended off by ranking some of the Thunder players of the past on 5 different categories. These categories are stats, impact on winning, personal opinion, longevity, and culture. And so we'll give them a score out of 10 and then average them all together, and then we'll have a full composite score for each player averaged out. And then we will, by the end of this, we'll have a full ranking of best to worst Thunder players of all time based on these different factors. So today we have 8 players to rank. They are all the players that played for the Thunder in 2014, 2015, that season, but not later than that. So some of these guys only spent that season with us. Some of them were with us for some time before that as well. But we'll go back and forth, and I can start us out here with Grant Jarrett. He played just that one year, only appeared in 5 games, 5 minutes a game, a point and a half, almost 1 rebound, and shot 17% from the field and about 7% from three. He was 1 for 13. I'm going to give these stats a 0 out of 10. It just simply can't get much worse than that. Love Grant Jarrett though, but impact on winning, I'm also gonna go 0 here. Yeah, he just was not really a part of being on the court in times when it mattered, what happened on the court. So, personal opinion, um, he's awesome. Isn't he the only player to ever wear his jersey number or something like that? Or am I remembering that wrong?
Um, I'm not sure. What number did he even wear for us?
I don't know.
Oh, he wore number 7.
Oh, I'm
So
incorrect. But yeah.
he
Uh
he was probably the only player to ever shoot 7% from three for us.
that is true. He's all about the
He,
seven.
he shot from three his jersey number, so that's
Right.
something.
7%, scored 7 points for us, 7 fouls. So I'll give him a 3 on personal opinion. Longevity, um, I'll give him a 0.5. And then culture, I don't know a whole lot about him off the court, but I'm sure he was nice. I'll give him a 4. So that brings his score to a 1.5. Kate, do you want to take Ish Smith here?
Sure, I'd love to take Ish Smith.
And
Um,
as we're ranking these, we're mostly focusing on just ranking their time with the Thunder specifically.
yeah. Um, I mean stats. I mean those look pretty much the exact same as Grant Jarrett's, and a little bit better. So I'd give him a 0.5 on stats.
For those of you who are just listening and not watching, his stats, he just played that one year, 30 games, about 5 minutes a game, 1.2 points, almost a rebound, almost an assist, 33 from the field and 20 from three.
They really aren't that. I was only looking at the field goal percentage. They're pretty much the exact same. Give him a 0. Yeah, that's
Well, he shot better. He shot better
he,
and
he
had
sh-
almost 4 times as many assists.
but it's still, it's 4 times as many, but it's still like doesn't even get to an assist per game.
I think, I mean, he did over 30 games. Can we give him a
Point
point
5.
five? All
Point
right,
5.
just for ish.
Yeah. Impact on winning. It seems like he was playing 5 minutes a game. Probably didn't have an impact on winning. Yeah, I'll go 0.
Let's go point 0.5. Let's go point 0.5. He played in 30 games. That means he was like at least not just simply only garbage time, you know?
Fair. Personal opinion.
He's ish, you know?
Yeah. I don't have much of an opinion. So
Okay.
I'll go 4.
Okay.
Longevity. I'm trying to see what that's been given in the past.
Yeah,
By
30 games. That can be like maybe a 1 or a 2. Something.
I'll give it a 2.
Okay.
Culture. Yeah, I'm sure he's a great guy. I'll give him a 4.
No vet presence boost from someone that's been around the league a lot.
Give him a 5.
All right. Keaton.
Next up, Sebastian Telfair. I really don't remember his time with the Thunder, though it was short. He scored 8.4 points per game, 1.9 rebounds, 2.8 assists, half a steal in his 16 games played with the Thunder. He shot, near 40% from the field. It's pretty good. 30% from three. Those definitely deserve probably I mean, 8 points per game. Probably like a three.
Sure.
Yeah, I'm not mad at those stats. His impact on winning, though, meh. Give me a 2.5. Personal opinion of Sebastian, while I just admitted I don't remember him very much or at all. I remember his name, and I like his name, which boosts my personal opinion of him to about a 4.5. Pretty good for somebody I don't really remember. Longevity, 16 games. What do we give like Devon Hall?
Devon Hall. A 1.
One. Let's give him a 1.5. We'll give him 0.5 for those 5 extra games that he played. Culture, pretty neutral on this. Give me a 4.5.
All right. That brings Telfair's score to a 3.2. Do you want to snake this, Keaton, or just go in the same order? What?
We can keep the same order.
Okay. Next up is Lance Thomas. He played 22 games for the Thunder. In 20 minutes, he scored 5 points a game, 3.5 rebounds, an assist, half a steal, almost 36% from the field, and 0% from three. Oh, he went 0 for 1. Um, these stats aren't bad, especially like 20 minutes. He was actually a consistent part of the rotation. I remember him playing. I'll give him a 2.5. Impact on winning. Um, he was a part of the rotation, and this was a, a fine. That was a good Thunder team. I'll give him a 2.5 there as well, though. I mean, he only did that over 22 games. Personal opinion, I like him, especially um, was happy for him that he was able to make a name for himself after he left the Thunder. I mean, he was the captain of the Knicks. Jalen Brunson just got named captain, and everyone's saying first Knicks captain since Lance Thomas. So happy for Lance. I'll give him a 5. Longevity, um, about the same as Telfair. I'll give him a 1.5. And then culture, I mean, if he's the captain of the Knicks and he's not that good, I'm sure he's a great culture guy. So I'll give him a 5. So that brings his score to a 3.3. Cade? Perry Jones.
So Barry Jones played 3 seasons and 11 minutes per game. So it's at least, an impact of, over a few seasons. 3.4 points per game, 1.8 rebounds, zero point 0.4 assists, shot 29% from three and 42 from the field. What's the precedent for these stats?
Um,
Like just a bench guy that, at least
that was
played over 10
kind of
minutes a
bad.
game.
I mean, that seems like maybe a little worse than these guys. That might
Yeah.
be correct.
It's also like half, yeah, it's half the time, but yeah. So yeah, I'll go two stats.
Okay.
Impact on winning. I mean, it looks like he played like over 40 games a season over 3 seasons. And so he's at least around for long enough. I'll go 3 and 3.
Okay.
Personal opinion. Yeah, I'll go 4. Longevity, 3 seasons.
Do you want a point of reference, maybe?
I love like an Alex Sabrinas point of reference.
Um, Trey Mann played about the same
Mm,
amount. We
It's
gave him
four
a
and a half.
4.5. I mean, he's kind of in the canter range at a 5.5. So probably between 4.5 and 5.5, something like that.
I'll give him 4.5. And culture to be a guy to have that limited of a role for 3 seasons in a row. I feel like you keep him around because he's a culture guy. I'll go 5.
All right. Keaton, do you have any thoughts about Perry Jones?
I remember Perry Jones playing for us. I mean, he played for us for 3 seasons. I don't really have any thoughts about him as a basketball player. I can just tell you that I mean, when we drafted him, I guess in 2013, I was 11 years old. I liked him. I remember calling my nana when we got rid of him. That's one of the only Perry Jones memories I have. Um, didn't he play for Baylor?
Yes.
Yeah, I remember him at Baylor. But other than that, I really don't have anything to say about him. I think a 3.7 is fair on his average score. Jeremy Lamb, I do also remember he kind of made his name in Oklahoma City and went on to have a pretty successful career after that with, Charlotte. And most recently, who he was with the Kings. Yeah. Um, he played for the Thunder for 3 seasons, 148 games. He scored 7 points per game, 2.1 rebounds, 1.1 assist, half a steal, zero point 0.2 blocks. Let's give him a 3 for those stats. Not bad. Um, not anything crazy. Impact on winning. Let's see. Um, I think he had probably a fair impact on winning. I remember him being like a solid young role player. I mean, he was on some really, really good Thunder teams, so it wasn't like he had the biggest role ever. But still, I think his impact on winning is probably like a 4.5. Let's give him a 4.5. Personal opinion, I really like Jeremy Lamb. I mean, I think just yesterday he posted a video on the Thunder Twitter page of him being in town, um, just kind of saying what's up to some Thunder fans. And I think one thing that I thought was notable in the video is he said, "I'm Jeremy Lamb for those of you who might remember me," as if uh, as if we might have forgotten him. So that was funny to see. My personal opinion of him, I like him. I think he's a really good guy. I really like his play style. Let me give him a 6. Longevity, let's give him the exact same as Perry Jones. Let's go 4.5. 3 seasons and only a 5 game difference. Yeah, they're really kind of mirrored each other in their time with the Thunder. Culture, I bet he was a great culture guy. Let's give him a 6.5.
All right. That gives him a 4.9. Next up is Reggie Jackson. He played 4 years, 245 games. Um, in 21 minutes, he scored 9 points a game, 3 rebounds, 3 assists, almost a steal, 43 from the field, 29 from three. I mean, he was a good backup point guard. These are fine stats. I'll give him a 4.5 on stats. Impact on winning, he was a really big part of the rotation on some really good teams. I'll give him a 5. Personal opinion though, I just my view of him was kind of tainted by a lot of culture things. I liked watching him as a player. He was fun to root for and watch on the court. I think he was talented, and it was great to see him develop his game over those 4 seasons. And it's been great to see him. He's still in the league today, so it's been great to see him have a career after that. But his time on the Thunder, he just didn't have the best attitude. Um, and a lot of Thunder players have really good attitudes, so he kind of stands out in that aspect. So I'll give him a 3 on personal opinion. Longevity, he was here for a really long time. And then eventually um, he wanted to move on, so we let him do that. But it looks like he's kind of in like the 6.5 range for longevity, or 6. I'll give him a 6. And then culture, I just don't think he was a good culture guy. We have a lot of good guys on the Thunder, and we have throughout the Thunder's past. I'm not saying he's not a good guy. It's just I don't think he was the best fit with the team off the court. He was frustrated that he wasn't getting a role that he felt he deserved. He wanted to start, even though we had one of the better point guards ever starting. But um, I'll give him a 2 on culture. So that gives him a
Oh,
4.1.
it's honestly higher on culture than I thought he was going to get. So good for Reggie. Uh, Kendrick Perkins. The thing I was looking at the stats, 0 for 3 on 3-point attempts. I would love to see those 3-point attempts. But 23 points per game, 4.2, 23 minutes a game, 4.2 points per game, almost 6 rebounds a game, over an assist a game, and almost a block per game over 5 seasons. Um, Stats wise, I would say obviously the points were really there, but almost a block a game and 6 rebounds a game. I'd say it's also 4.5, similar to Reggie. Impact on winning. I mean, he was the starting center on some really good teams. Um, I would say he's a 6 or 7. Or 6.5. This is personal opinion of him just as a Thunder player, right?
Yeah, let's not factor in his analyst days.
Yeah, that's what I'm making sure of. Yeah, this is right as I was starting to watch the Thunder. It was at the point where you don't really understand, what good players are or what bad players are. You just know what your team's players are, and so I had a good opinion on him at the time. Um, Obviously, he kind of seems to kind of after the finals run, it seemed he had less of a role as time went on, but I still had a pretty high opinion of him. I'll go 6, similar to Jeremy Lamb. Longevity, a season more than Reggie.
Yeah, we can
Uh,
see.
it's like 5 seasons, right?
Yeah, he's like in the probably a 7, seven
Uh,
and a half range.
I'll give him a 7. And then culture, like they brought him in to be a vet on a really young team, and it seems like that worked really well. Um, so I would say he's a 7 culture.
All right. So that brings his ranking to a 6.2. Now I'm gonna put these new guys in with the guys we've already ranked just to kind of see where they fall. If y'all want to talk amongst yourselves.
I've got some thoughts on Reggie and Kendrick.
Oh, let's hear.
I think Reggie's situation reminds me of when you're playing NBA 2K My Career and you draft yourself to your favorite team, even though they have like a Hall of Fame person at your position, and you just feel like you should get that starting spot. You feel like you're a little bit entitled to the starting spot because it's your career that you're playing. That reminds me of his situation. Um, Kendrick Perkins, it's funny to me because he was, um, let's see. Maybe his game wouldn't translate. Like, I don't think his game would translate nearly as well today as it might have back then. And still, then I didn't think he was awesome, but I really don't think he has any place as a starting center for a competitor in this NBA. Which is funny
But
to
you wouldn't sign Kendrick Perkins now, is what you're saying.
right. Like I would not sign prime Kendrick Perkins right now to this Thunder team or arguably a lot of teams or in the NBA just because his play style is so unique. He doesn't space the floor in any way, that's becoming a popular thing for today's NBA is having a five that can space the floor out a little bit. And if they can't if you have a five that can't space the floor, well, they better be a dang good interior scorer, or they better be a great rebounder, or they better be a great passer, or something. They better excel in something. They better bring something to the table that can make up for their lack of floor spacing, like or like be an elite defender. And with all of those, like interior scoring, defending, rebounding, passing, I don't really think Kendrick Perkins excelled in any of those things. And so that's an interesting thing about Perkins is he sure was our starting center for a long time, but um it's just he was really someone that had kind of a style of play that is it was kind of in the process of going extinct.
Right. I think if we had that roster today, Ibaka would be the starting center, and we wouldn't feel the need for another big man down in the post. Like if Ibaka was still like even towards the end of Ibaka's career, he was a center. That's how he was kind of transitioned because of how the game has transitioned. So yeah, different players fit different eras differently. So
Yeah, and another thought I have about kind of that same conversation is another player that I feel the same about is Collison. I feel like Collison kind of plays a unique or played a unique style of basketball that I don't think is very common in the NBA anymore. Just kind of a do it all power forward that doesn't necessarily provide you any spacing or any he doesn't like nothing screams like excellent about anything that Collison did. He just was all around good at everything. And like I think one of the best things that Collison brought to the table was just all out hustle. And then obviously he was just a great person to be around, great for the locker room, great for the culture. So, um, but it's just kind of interesting because those are players that we grew up watching, and that's just a totally different basketball than is played today.
yeah. All right. So to recap the players we ranked today, Kendrick Perkins fell at 25th between Dion Waiters and Al Horford. Jeremy Lamb here at 40 between Isaiah Roby and Ty Jerome. Reggie Jackson at 59 between Corey Brewer and Bismack Biyombo. Perry Jones at 70 between Markieff Morris and Dario Saric. Then Lance Thomas and Sebastian Telfair are 77 and 78 between Deontay Burton and Davis Bertans. Ish Smith is 96 between Dakari Johnson and Gabby Deck. Then Grant Jarrett 106th between Justin Patton and Jawan Evans. So we've now ranked 110 of the 152 players. So we're getting down there. So
Before we get off of this page, can you scroll down to the Reggie Jackson? I
yeah,
think this is important to note because I think we would all agree that Reggie Jackson is better than some of these players around him for the Thunder, like Bismack and Corey. But that's why personal opinion is so important as well in this factor process. Like um, most of this composite list will go by like generally how good this player was during their time for the Thunder, but that's because for a lot of these personal opinions were kind of indifferent. But for Reggie, he does have a negative personal opinion, 3 on here. But so that's why like personal opinion does matter, like character matters. And so I think Reggie is better than a lot of the players down there, but character I think got him to that grouping. So that's
right.
the only comment I have about that.
And that's why
Culture too. It's like for most players, I feel like culture, like the floor for most Thunder players is five.
Yeah.
Like you're looking at this and it's like, Reggie Jackson and Mitch McGary are like the two guys I'm saying here that are lower than five, but it's like for pretty clear and obvious reasons why they're lower. But yeah, I feel like most guys are pretty good culture guys. They just are on the Thunder.
Yeah.
right. And that's why we wanted to do the rankings this way and factor in off the court things, like just our opinion about the guy as a person and a player, and also the culture fit. Because I think, um, well, I mean, our goal in this was to provide a composite listing of greatest to worst Thunder players of all time, and I think those off the court factors should play a part in that, and that's we wanted those to be a part of our rankings because, um, I mean, that boosts guys like Russell Westbrook over a guy like Kevin Durant because we want things like loyalty, we want things like what they did for the city and how they were with as a teammate, and all those things to factor in our greatest players because we don't. It'd be easy to just say, all right, this is the best basketball player we've ever had. This is the worst basketball player we've ever had. But we wanted um, more than that. So that
Yeah.
will do it for our rankings. So we enjoyed that. Thank you for contributing to our list, Cade. We enjoyed your opinions as well. I'm sure our listeners will enjoy hearing from someone other than just me and Keaton every day. So, do you have any closing thoughts to tell all our audience, Cade?
Yeah, I just hope I'm not flamed too bad due to my lack of national basketball knowledge. Um, yeah, I do feel another third place finish in the Rangers game is imminent. Um, I'm excited about the actual Thunder season though. It's gonna be a fun season to watch.
Cade, I'd be surprised if you got flamed in the comments, considering we have never had a single YouTube comment. So if that's their first, then that's might be bad luck. But with that being said, follow our YouTube page, follow our Twitter. Um, respond to some of our tweets. Give us some of your spiciest Thunder takes, and we might cover them on the pod. Um, uh, share our pod. We want to reach a wide Thunder audience. It's our goal to just kind of casually talk about the Thunder and gain a lot of friends along the way. And so we really appreciate you guys listening. And if that's all we got, then we'll see you next time.
Yeah, excited for media day tomorrow, and I'm sure we'll talk about everything that happened later on this week. But the season is coming soon, so Thunder up.